Hi there. So in this video, we are going to talk about how to set up your webinars correctly so that you get lots of leads plus sales from the webinars, right? So the idea behind this video is to set up your webinars correctly. What could be the checklist that you can follow to organize your webinars? Plus, what are some critical steps that you can take to improve your overall webinar performance? So all that will be included in this video. This will be a complete video that will help you to understand how webinar works and how you can start organizing webinars for your brand, for your business, and get sales out of it. Awesome. I'm going to share my screen and we will go through a checklist step by step that will help you to conduct webinars properly. Cool. So this is a checklist provided by HubSpot, and this is a free checklist. Even you can download it from the HubSpot directly. But yeah, this will be our checklist for today to help you understand and organize webinars correctly. This is like a brief, more of a what to do and what not to do, and we'll go through each step by step, and we'll I'm going to explain everything in detail, what can be done in order to optimize your webinars. So as you can see on the screen, there are different timelines given, like 8 weeks prior, 5 weeks prior, 7 days prior. So these are basically, you can use these as a reference, because it's not always like you are going to start planning for your webinar 8 weeks back. It might be around maybe 4 weeks, 12 weeks, depends on you. So you can use these just for the references. Awesome. So we will start with the first checklist, that is pick your date and time, which is pretty obvious. You'll have to select a time and date when you want to organize your webinar. So usually I prefer on weekends so that your target audience is at least have some time, because during the weekday I guess many people are busy with their work stuff. So I usually prefer weekends. So that's the only logic I find behind that. So but yeah, if you know your audience well, if you have a previous data on that, you can use date and time based on that data. Okay, next is determine your topic. It's more of on what topic you want to organize a webinar on. So make it general, or maybe it depends on the product or services you are selling to, but yeah, keep it general so that people understand through the topic that what they can expect within the webinar. So it's just for that. Next is select your speakers and hosts. So this is again a critical step where you select who is going to organize or host your webinar. So use or choose the correct person or a knowledgeable person on that topic. For example, if you are talking about Facebook ads, then the person who is going to host the webinar should be knowledgeable on that particular topic. So it's more of like that, because a host can make or break your webinar, because the host will be acting as a sales guy as well during the webinar. So just make sure of that. Now fourth is set your goals. It's mainly what do you want to achieve with your webinar, whether you want to sell your services or products, or do you want to nurture leads further into the next step of your marketing funnel. So it's more of like that. You'll have to decide a goal for that. Next is optional, in case if you are organizing a webinar with some other product owners or something like that, then you can use this feature, partner with some other creators and work on that. Next is create a webinar registration page. This is again a critical step for your webinar, because most of your registrations, or I guess 100% of your registrations, will be registering from the landing page, and that landing page can make a lot of difference, because if the conversion rate of that landing page is good, it means people are converting. If it's around 3 to 4% or 10%, it's pretty low. So the usual or the good conversion percentage on the landing page of a free webinar is around 25 to 30%, or even more than that. But if it's not a free webinar, then it can vary. It can vary from 2 to 3% only. But for a free webinar, it varies from 20 to 30%, which is a really good number. So make sure whatever the landing page you design, it should be very simple and should be focused on call to action. It should, if it's a free webinar, make your call to action register for free, book your seat for free, something like that. Just include that free word in your call to action so that users convert more. Next is select a platform to host a webinar on. There are different tools available in the market. You can use Zoom if you are just getting started. If you are an advanced person who really wants to scale your webinars up, then you can opt very specific webinar specific tools. I'll be sharing one tool in the end of this video, so stay tuned. Now the next step is create outline for your webinar. It's more of like what structure do you want to follow with your webinar. What are you going to talk about in the first 5 minutes? What are you going to talk about in the next 15 minutes? So just structure it out. How long your webinar will be, what will be the offer, and what will be the content. So just plan out and outline everything for that webinar. Next is create a first draft of your webinar slides. Slides are basically a sort of presentation that are going to be presented during the webinar. So it's more of a like what content do you want to present to the users. So you will have to create and plan that out as well. Next is an important step like begin webinar promotion. It's more of like if you plan to organize a webinar, the next step is promote it. Now there are different channels you can use. If you have an email list, you can use emails. If you have good presence on social media, post it on the social media that okay, you are going to organize this webinar. If you have a blog which has a traffic, you can create a blog post or maybe just include a flyer of your webinar into all the blog posts or on the blog where you get most of your traffic. Next is you can partner with other creators, influencers, or maybe with other business partners. Next is customer communication. It's more of like communicate with your customers that okay, you are going to organize the webinar. Next is the important step, paid promotion. If you don't have a audience prior to organizing a webinar, just use Google ads, meta ads, all that. So it's more of like there are two ways, organic and inorganic. Organic is basically sending out an email blast, sending like creating flyer for your blog, and the inorganic is paid media. Use advertisement, YouTube ads, Facebook ads, Google ads, and all that. So yeah, I usually prefer paid promotion so that you get leads, plus you have if you have a nurturing system, you can convert them later. Next is complete webinar promotion designs. It's more of like create really good designs so that you get higher clicks on your social media. If you plan out to promote on the social media, make sure like your designs are really good. It communicate clearly what your webinar is going to be on and who are the hosts and what the time you're going to organize it. So it's more of like promotional designs. These designs you can use on the ads as well. Next two steps are again pretty obvious, like upload your presentation to the webinar software if you are using one. If you are not, you can just share your screen during the live webinar and use that presentation. So that's done. Like next is re-promote your webinar. That's pretty obvious again. You have to keep promoting the webinar until for example, if you are organizing webinar at 6 p.m. today, I prefer keep promoting till the last hour, until the 5 p.m. today. So just use that strategy. 1 week prior, it's more of like remind your users that okay, your webinar is conducted on this date. It's more of a reminder email. So to all the registrants, so send out a reminder email to all the registrants with the time and date. Next again, re-promote your webinar, which is we already covered. Do a dry run of the webinar. It's mainly like test your softwares out. If everything is working fine, do an internal test with your team that okay, if webinar is working fine in terms of software, in terms of content, is it fine? Are the hosts able to manage the presentation and all that? So it's more of an internal testing. 3 days prior, again send reminder emails to all the registrants, okay, that your webinar is on this, that, and all that. Next is book a conference room. It's like we don't need this. We are organizing on a software, so yeah, you can use Zoom or other softwares to organize a webinar. Next is on the day of the webinar, again critical step, send reminder emails to registrants. This is a critical step. You have to send a reminder email to all the registrants on the day of the webinar so that you get a higher show up rate, because if you are organizing a free webinar, then show up rate would be around 20 to 30% only. So in order to increase that, we'll have to send constant reminder emails to all the registrants. Next is promote on the social media. We are already doing that. Gather speaker and call in a guest. It's more like initial testing that if everything is working fine, are hosts able to organize and manage it well or not. Next, here we are at during the webinar. So record your webinar. That's like usually the tools like with the Zoom, you can enable this cloud recording or in-system recording. If you are using some other tools, this is like an automated step that records all your webinars automatically, so you don't have to do anything. Next is have a team member live tweet. It's mainly like interact with the social media when you are live. It's like when you are live, post on the LinkedIn that okay, we are live with these many people and this is what we are talking about. This will increase the engagement on the post, plus you will see a few new attendees as well. Next is gather and answer attendee question. It's a critical step again. Make sure if you have a moderator, he is managing all the questions and answer within the during the live chat. If not, you can collect all the questions and consider those questions and answer as a feedback, and you can improve your webinar based on that data moving forward. So this is a critical step to improvise your webinar's performance. Now, after the webinar, it's time to review the performance of your webinar. If it went well, why? If it didn't go well, why? So you have to collect the data and you will have to understand how you can improve your next webinars and what changes you can do. So adjust the landing page copy. So in case if you think you had a lower conversion rate from your landing page, like 1,000 people visited but only 10 converted, for 10 registered for the free webinar, then something critically wrong with the landing page. You have to improve that. Maybe it could be design or the copy. So that is first. Next is convert recording to your viewable file. It's up to you if you want to record and create a replay of your webinar for the users who didn't attend. You can do that. Next is upload video to your website, like basically uploading your webinar to your website. That's up to you if you want to do it. I usually don't prefer to keep, because I want to keep my webinar content exclusive to the webinar attendees only. So I just go by that. Next is uploading your presentation on the websites. It's again up to you. Next is a really good step. Send a thank you email with the recordings and slide deck to the registrants. So what I usually do, I send a thank you note to all the registrants of the webinar with the offer that was presented in the webinar, because that's exclusive offer for the webinar. So I just include that in thank you email and just send it out to all. Next is enroll registrants in the nurture system. If you have a well-built marketing funnel, you can nurture all the registrants into that system. If not, you can think on that, how you can use those leads of your registrants of the webinar and how you can use that for your marketing purpose. Next is inform sales of webinar and share leads. It's more of like understand how did your webinar perform in terms of selling. The final step is analyze webinar matrices and performance. It's more of like understand what are the important KPIs related to your webinar for your business, whether it's sales, whether it's just conversion rate, whether it's like show up rate, whether it's how many people subscribe or registered for the webinar. So you'll have to define the KPIs based on the business matrices, because it's a variable for the businesses. So you'll have to define yours. And I guess that's pretty much in this checklist. And thanks for HubSpot for providing this. You can download this checklist from the description or also from the HubSpot website. It's free. So I guess that's pretty much on the webinar side. So mainly, in short, if I summarize that, it's more of like create a really good registration page for your webinar. Keep your webinar free if possible, so that you get a lot of attendees, where you describe your product, where you create a custom offer for that product and convert users in the real time, and that works really good. Plus keep engaging to the users in terms of sending thank you notes, sending reminder emails, sending email that we are live, where are you, something like that. So just keep engaging with the users in order to improve your overall show up rate. Plus choose the correct host for the topic and define your topic clearly. Make it general so that users understand what the webinar is all about. Don't keep it very technical in terms of communication wise. Keep it simple. Also, in terms of designing the things up, keep your designs very clean, to the point. Just only write what you want to share. Don't overwhelm with users with the information on the creative, also from on the landing page as well. Keep it very simple, sophisticated, and UI wise make it very easy. Bigger call to action. Don't do any navigation or other, just one call to action on that landing page. Sign up for the free webinar, something like that. And now I guess you have enough information and you can go ahead and organize your first webinar. If you stuck anywhere and if you need my help, just feel free to visit my website and book a call with me, and I will be happy to help you out with all of your marketing efforts plus webinar and whatever the other performance marketing issues as well. The last thing that I want to share with you is the tool which I personally use to organize webinars, that is called Webinar Jam. I'm going to attach the link of that in the description. You can go ahead and check it out. It's starting from $39 per month. It's a really good tool. You can start using it and it offers really good functionalities to organize webinars. So you can check out webinarjam.com. I will be covering Webinar Jam tool in the next video on the topic like how to use Webinar Jam and what steps you can take to organize your first webinar, and I will be covering everything on the Webinar Jam in the next video. So till then, stay safe and peace out. If you are new to this channel, you know what to do. Subscribe.